Hey, this is Danielle, and welcome to the Simpler Options free video for today, April 3rd, 2023. So, today I wanted to talk about a setup in Cloudflare. Now, this is a pretty, volatile stock. Trading it can be pretty aggressive, but that's kind of what we like to look at over here over at Simpler Trading. So, let me go ahead and get started. Now, when you're looking at this stock, there's a couple different things I want to point out. Obviously it's no longer a $221 a share stock. And, I'm not really suggesting that it's going to be that again, but what I am suggesting is that it's really bottomed out. So when you look at the way that it's traded over the course of the last year, it's found a low around $40, and despite, a downwards move on earnings of about 16%, another downward move of about 6.7%, it's been able to hold that low. And actually over the course of the last quarter, we've seen a really nice reversal, and then we saw a nice gap up post earnings, and now we're coming into another earnings time frame. So one setup that I like to look for is I like to look at stocks that have rallied into the previous quarter's earnings report, gapped up on the previous quarter's earnings report, traded higher after earnings, and then they are in consolidation coming up on the next earnings report within the 21 bar time frame. When you have all these factors together, it's generally a pretty good idea to look at potentially trading it for some pre-earnings momentum, because you have a good confluence of factors. When you look at Cloudflare on this chart, you can see the way that it's held the 50 simple. My candles have also shifted from red to yellow to green. This just basically means that the trend on that chart time frame, this is a daily chart, has shifted from bearish to bullish, and that really just indicates, an overall shift in trend higher. And then, because you have this earnings report coming up, you have just a news related catalyst. So when you have something that's on the docket where investors can look at it and say, hey, maybe it's going to gap up 10% overnight again. Let's get into this stock before earnings. That kind of thing can cause buying to push the thing higher prior to the report. So when you're looking at something like this, generally, there's a couple different things you can do with it. You can just buy the stock. Number two, you can buy the long calls. So one major reason why you'd buy long calls is because there's implied volatility. And implied volatility is a component that is used to determine the price of those options. And the implied volatility is going to go up going into earnings, making the cost of the option go up. And if you, buy it down here and the implied volatility is going up, then, ideally you're going to see the price of that option going higher. And then also you can hopefully see the price of the stock going higher as well at the same time due to the other factors I already mentioned. And ideally you can buy an option, down here, sell it for more up here. The other thing that you could do is you could also sell puts. You can sell put credit spreads. You can sell just puts by itself. And then, ideally as the stock trades higher, then you can buy those back for a lower price. Now with Cloudflare, the earnings report is still showing a little question mark here. So when it is not confirmed, you aren't going to know which series you should buy your options in just yet. But Thinkorswim is guesstimating that it's going to be around the first week of May. So generally in that kind of situation, I would focus on that earnings series. So when I'm looking at buying long calls, look at, the first week of May. And then that's because I would like to buy the calls in the same week as earnings. But if I'm selling puts, I would do it prior to the earnings report. By buying the calls in the series in which earnings occurs, that's the best way that you can get that IV expansion. but you don't want your IV expanding when you're selling puts, which is why you'd want to do it here and here and here. So the moral of this whole story is I think that cybersecurity is making a little bit of a comeback. I'm not trying to call it to a new all-time high or anything like that, but I certainly think that there's a tradable move right here. So if you have found this video helpful, go ahead and hit a like down below and subscribe, and you can get more of our videos. If you want to join me over at Simpler Trading, you can find me in the options room. I'm going to be in the options gold room on a regular basis. And then you can also find me on Twitter at Trader Danielle, which is DANIELLE. So I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.
Without Simpler Trading, I could not have financial independence.
This is one of the best investments I ever made in my life.
It's helping me find consistency.
It's one of the things that won me